Hi, everyone. Thanks for welcoming me into this worlding experiment with you all. I guess a little bit of background, urban planner and futurist. My work really sort of positions urban planning and policy as a work of speculative fiction. And like any sort of genre, it can be toyed with, it can be played with, but also the results aren't inherent. And often when we engage with the physical form of our community, it's a physical form of the world, we think that they are inherent. And what I teach in the architecture department at the Rhode Island School of Design, and mostly in cities, teaching city studios. And what I try to encourage people to do is learn how to read the stories that our communities are telling. And not just the service ones, not just sort of the mainstreamed ones, but how can you look at what the land is telling you about the use of the space? What are non-human actors telling you about this space? How are people who this space wasn't intended for now choosing to use and live in this space, and how do you respond to it? And so in this exercise, it's really sort of taking the layers of existence and breaking them down. Trying to think, does everyone have access to the Miro board? Cool. I don't know if I should look at that as well. So what we're going to be doing is sort of looking at the places that you're working on, and sort of looking how look at the past, the present, and then spending some time sort of stating our aspirational future. So I'll model that a bit more, but let me start off. I'm going to share my screen. Can everyone see the house? Cool.
Yep.
All right. So this is, I'm going to use my house, my childhood home in Southeast Wisconsin, as a sort of model of how we will eventually use a worksheet. So grew up in Southeast Wisconsin, have a very complex relationship with that place, but returned in 2019 and then spent most of 2019, 2020, and 2021 living at home with my parents in Southeast Wisconsin. And sort of the space that the pandemic gave me, returning home, sort of isolating, really got me thinking about what is this place? Where am I living? What is the land? Spent a lot of time reflecting on sort of ecological history and sort of what it could teach me about navigating through the moments of 2020 and 2021. And so I started thinking about how does the physical space in my home tell a story, but what else is it hiding? So when you look in Miro, you'll see that there is, let me zoom out. There is this little worksheet or broken down a space. As we think about placemaking, thinking about the land, the non-humans and the stories that they tell, humans and the stories that they tell, and all three of them, what do they say about the future? And the aspirations of those futures have always changed. So I think about, when I think about my home, I think about sort of like the lessons that I was taught about the past. Oh gosh, this is so scrunched up. So and you guys will, when we get into Miro, you'll be doing this yourself, but sort of who are all the folks in the past? When I think of the land, so in Wisconsin, and I had the funny realization that glaciation and the ice age didn't just happen in Wisconsin, but most of the northern hemisphere. So it's always fun. It's always funny for me when I am reminded that, oh yeah, other parts of the world had glaciers on them and were affected, and their landscape tells a story of the earth changing. So where I'm at in Wisconsin, we have kettles and moraines and a lot of glacial drift, and that affects the soil. But that also created sort of the oak savannas that I live on. And the oak savannas, you have these sort of stands of oak trees, but they also have Tall grass prairies intermingled, and those tall grass prairies had seasonal fires, and those seasonal fires would continue to sort of nourish and create a very fertile and robust soil that I spent all of 2020 just sort of sitting in and enjoying the growth from. And I think of the non-humans, so the buffalo, the deer, we have oak trees. I grew up by a stream, so we have a lot of willow trees and sort of how they move through space, and how understanding where they're positioned on the land tells a story of their migration, of their history, of their desire to live. And you think of sort of, for me, thinking of the humans who sort of shaped the land. I was thinking about buffalo paths. A lot of the streets in Midwestern cities are named after sort of the traditional paths of the different tribes that live there. So we have like the Ho-Chunk and the Potawatomi, the big part of Milwaukee, which is north of where I grew up. We have the Menominee Valley. We often sort of ignore their history. We just say like, oh yeah, Wisconsin, Native people lived here, but it was the Germans and the beer and the industry. And I think for a lot of people, if you don't know Wisconsin, that's probably what you think about. You think about like Laverne and Shirley, or maybe the Brewers. But you often don't hear. I always get surprised when people hear I'm a Black person in Wisconsin, not realizing that it is a site of the Great Migration, that it is a home for many refugees, especially in the Hmong community. And so as I think about the past, it's sort of, as I look at sort of the structure of the home that I was in before, what was its aspiration for the future? Its aspiration was the American dream, a turf lawn, single family home, 2.5 children, dad working, mom in the kitchen. Yeah, but that's not the present. Often when I think of sort of the narrative of Wisconsin, it's still very white. It's formally industrial. And so you have this sort of aspiration of getting back to these imaginary glory days. But there are other things going on. So you have sort of the effects of displaced species in Wisconsin. You have the effects of a history of the dairy industry. You have the effects of deforestation, an early deforestation and a very aggressive attempt to reforest the state. You have, because of this, a land that is very contaminated, but also very either developed or farmed. So it's just contested. Our understanding of the history or understanding the present is very contested. But what that means is, for us, as we are working on these projects, we get to stake a claim of what are the histories we want to highlight, what are the moments of the present we want to highlight, and how do we imagine that taking place in the future? So going back to my house, spending a lot of time sort of walking around, I tried to wonder so I don't know if you can see them, there's these like patches in on the side of my house. We have cedar, we have like wood siding, and the birds love digging holes and making their nests in the home. And my parents are constantly like fighting them. It's always a thing. And it got me wondering, what does it look like to have a home that more actively accommodated other animals? You can kind of see our garden over here. I would spend time sort of trying to get out pests, but I remember someone saying, if you have pests eating your produce, that means you have a good garden. So it got me thinking, as a plan for my parents, much to their chagrin, of how do we make our house a little more in relationship to nature? How do we slowly plan to add more edible, natural plants to grow? So was it rakes or ramps or pawpaw trees? We're trying to convince them to buy a Wisconsin cherry tree. But all of that comes from sort of trying to highlight the histories that were erased by the building of this house, highlighting the histories and aspirations of the land, of the animals, of other people. There are other ways of being. And so as we head into Miro, what I want everyone to do is you think about the sites of your work. I want you to sort of first list out just all of the actors who shaped your place in the past. And then think about, for the present, who are the actors that are shaping the present right now? And then with a different color, I want you to highlight who in the present, who of the past is presently highlighted in our understanding of your space. You see here, I have them sort of circled in red as sort of just the dominant stories that shape how I understand the place. But then in blue, I want you to highlight what are the stories that you want to bring forward, or you want to elevate as sort of the hierarchy of whose history, whose aspirations are meant to be manifested in the physical space. And with that in mind, there's this last section, this aspirational future. I want you to write out what your aspirational future for the space is. I think, especially with Caesar's work and a lot of your work, there is inherently a need to think about community, to consider communities' role in the future. But I think often what that prevents us from doing is being honest about us as members of community, what it is that we personally want, what we need. How do you stake a position on the future that you are trying to build for yourself? And community is obviously part of that, but also being unafraid to state your position and your hopes and your aspirations about the future.